That's what we're talking about today. Shadow work, my beautiful friends. As you can see, I've adjusted myself to say shadow work, and I'm going to use that color. I will use this one. I do. I trust that you're all here and you can hear me. I'm going to put, so I can have access to the chat in my iPad so I can communicate with you guys. But the question today is, what is shadow work? Is it necessary? What is shadow work and is it necessary and how do I do it? Live chat, let's get in there. So, where do we begin? What is shadow work? Now, we've heard this term a lot, haven't we? That, shadow work is working on your inner things. But what are you working on? Why is it called shadow? It's called a shadow because it is hidden from your sight. It's dark. Ain't not? Welcome and thank you for being here. We do shadow work, yes, but you have to understand what you're doing. You have to comprehend what you're doing so that when you do these things, they make sense. And we're not just running around saying, oh my God, I got to do shadow work. It is a shadow. Mind you, I will take notes, yes? This is March 20th, spring equinox. We do shadow work. Leslie, I see you. B royalty, I see you too. So shadow means something is hidden from the light, isn't it? What happens with a shadow? When you encounter a shadow, there's light and it's being cast onto something, which means you are becoming aware of something. You're becoming aware of what? What is that thing hidden in the shadow that's lurking? Because when you think shadows, right, you think, oh my God, there's danger. There's something lurking in the shadows, right? It just means you don't know. Empress Ella, I see you. You don't know what's lurking. That's what shadow means in the way of the world. But when you're dealing with the law, shadow means something you cannot see. Can't see it here. That's what shadow is. It is the unseen habit. The shadow is an unseen habit. Now, technically speaking, is it unseen? How can you know it's a habit if it's unseen? So you see, you are always seeing the thing in the shadow. But are you aware of it? You know there's something. It's lurking. You know that there's something in the shadow. The thing in the shadow is the hidden habit. And I say hidden because we've been doing it for so long, we don't know anymore. It's just autopilot. See all these words? It's just running in the shadow. And it causes you to behave in a particular way. So when the rest of the world is looking and they're saying, oh my God, I got to do shadow work. I got to do all that shadow work. What you are saying, bonjour, mes amis, Ms. M, pleasure to see you. Shadow work, I'm going to say it until it makes sense. Shadow means you don't see it. It's casting a shadow. It's something there because it casts a shadow. You can see it by way of a shadow. You can see the silhouette. You hear? You can see the silhouette. You can see the silhouette of the thing, which means what is the silhouette? The behavior that you are doing is the silhouette. The behavior that you are doing is what the light is being shone upon to create the outline, the silhouette. So now that when you say, why do I keep doing that? Why does this keep happening to me? Like, oh my God, I'm being punished by the universe. That is the silhouette of the shadow of the habit that you have. That is what it is. So if you now know what the shadow is, you know that it's a habit that you've been doing for such a long time and it has become hidden. You now know, as well as I know, how do you change a habit? Well, you must know what a habit is. A habit is a thought, a word, or action that you do consistently. You just do it and you do it and you do it and you do it. That is a habit. Walter, darling. Walter, I see you. So now that you know what a habit is, the silhouette of the habit is outlined for you. It's showing you by way of your behavior. Your behavior is the silhouette. You understand? The behavior is the silhouette. So now you can look at the silhouette and say, oh my God, I'm doing that? That's why that's always happening to me? Because you keep doing the same thing over and over and over again. You're thinking in the same way, thus you speak the same way, thus you behave the same way. So it has come out of the shadows and it's showing you itself in plain sight. But because it's in plain sight and it's a habit, it is also hidden. Oh, paradox? Yes. Resonating? Yes. So it's easy. When something resonates with you, it sits well. It's on the same frequency as you. You're picking up. When you say, I'm picking up what you're laying down, it means it resonates. It means, oh, that strikes a chord. That sounds, that feels. I understand. Resonation. It's also in music, right? So we know what the shadow is. It's the unseen habit, the silhouette that you see, your behavior. And you are now in a position to say, do I like this behavior or do I not? And that silhouette or that behavior, now you can put something else under there. Generational curse. You can put that under there. A generational curse is simply a consistent and persistent behavior that has been taught from one generation to the next. That is a generational habit, not a curse. Curse would imply, I put a spell on you. That's what it would imply. Curse, yes? So now that you see the silhouette of the behavior, the hidden habit, which is a thought, word, or action that you do consistently, now you can say, do I want to? Do I want to continue or do I want to stop? So if you want to stop doing it, what are you going to replace it with? Because and effect. Cause and effect must be together. That you cannot separate the two. So if you have a behavior, you have a cause for that behavior. So to get a new behavior, you must change the cause. Get a new effect, change the cause. Understand? I'm just writing it down, just in case somebody says, oh my God, what are the notes? Does this make sense a little bit more? So that we start with shadow and we name what's in the shadow. And we can name what is in the shadow because we see the silhouette of it. If you see the silhouette, you know, in the crying game, when all you could see was the silhouette, you know what you were dealing with in the crying game. You understand? So the silhouette will always show you the shape of the habit that you are doing consistently and persistently. That's what it is when you are dealing with shadow work. Because now you need to change the old habit. So how do you change from one habit to the next? You first recognize the old habit. You need to recognize it, and then you need to decide. Stay or go. You know how when you're dealing with a particular window and it says, do you want to stay in this window or do you want to close it? Do you want to stay with that habit? So decide whether you will stay or go. And then once you make your decision, if you stay, continue with the behavior. If you go, change the behavior. So the silhouette, which is the behavior, will show you what you were doing. So if you say, oh my God, like in Liar Liar with Jim Carrey, I wish you can only tell the truth. What if that's you? What if you say, oh my God, I lie so much, but I feel like I have to lie because I'm scared. Now, what if you say, you see, lying is a bad habit and I don't like myself when I do it. So how do you tell the truth then? You must tell the truth regardless of the situation. This is how you will get into the habit of telling the truth instead of remaining in the habit of lying, which is the shadow. Talk to me, let me know. How does this make sense for you? Does this compute? I'll take a sip of water while you guys decide that. More leverage, I say. You received your book Momentum, a shadow work guide and journal. Yes. It's because it's a catchphrase, you understand? It sounds cool. But you have to start demystifying things by way of law. And the only reason why it is called shadow, it is because it is a habit that you've been doing for quite some time. So to form your new habit, recognize the old and then decide if you're going to stay with it or you're going to leave it. And once you say, I'm going to leave it, now you employ causation because you're doing all of them at the same time. But we're going to look at causation because you're going to say, okay, here's the effect that I have. I lie under pressure because I'm afraid. What are you afraid of? What are you afraid of? That is the question. That's the shadow. What is causing the fear that will make you lie? Is it fear of rejection? So now when you start to peel away the layers of this, you begin to see what is all that's hidden inside the shadow. What are you afraid of that causes you to lie? You're afraid of rejection. You're afraid of being judged. You're afraid of being abandoned. What if I tell the truth and they leave me? Right? All these are things. So now why are they there? And that right there, Dan, is 100% accurate. It is 100% accurate what Dan just said. I don't think shadow work is necessary unless it's part of the law, because then it only contradict. And this is why when you now look at shadow work through the eyes of the law, you begin to recognize the law of correspondence. The law of correspondence tells you as within, so without. So you keep doing this shadow thing, right? Because you've been doing it so long, you can't see it anymore. It's just part of you. So you've been doing it for so long because it's within you. But then when you catch yourself, because it begins to become uncomfortable, the more you do it, if it is harmful to you. That's why you will say, oh my God, why is this happening to me? Why does this keep happening to me? Why does nobody respect me? Why does nobody care about me? Why do I have no friends? Do you understand? So because it has now caused you discomfort, that's how it gets your attention, for you to say, oh, I don't like where this is. So then you employ the law of correspondence. As within me, so must I experience on the outside. This is how you put shadow work in context of law. Because if you run around doing shadow work and say, I need to change this, and this, it becomes overwhelming. If you pay attention to what's happening, the thing that needs to be fixed right now is the thing that is always in your face. And it's the thing that will always make you say, again? Really? I'm doing this again? I'm in the same position again? That is showing you what you need to work on. This is why scripture can say, you're never given more than you can handle, because you've only got these two. And so when you're looking out onto your actions, you're like, oh, I do keep doing that. Now you use the law. You can either use correspondence or you can use causation to say, okay, I don't like this, or you can use polarity. I don't like this because I'm here now, but I want to be here instead. And you begin to do the steps in between. So if it's lying, begin by telling the truth. It doesn't matter what situation you're in. Tell the truth. Just tell it. Preaching to the choir, because we know how this is sometimes. You don't want to hurt feelings and you bend the truth a little bit. You say, well, it's not that bad. It could be better, but it'll pass. Because we want to protect the feelings of the other person. Now, that comes down to saying things in a way you don't have to sugarcoat, but you also have to consider the other person. And there you have it, Leslie. Shadow work was discovering where your childhood traumas came from. What are those? Habits that you have done because of a particular event, a particular cause. In your childhood, that caused you to behave the same way as you did when you were a child, even though you're an adult. All because of that event and the way the event caused you to now bend to fit. I want you to put it this way then. If I say to you, you have to get rid of your trauma. Oh my God, you're in a trauma bond relationship. What does that mean? What does that mean? It doesn't mean anything. It's this giant umbrella. But if I say to you, listen, what's the thing that comes up all the time that you really hate? You can't stand it in your own self. You know what? I always try to please people. I always try to please people. I always try to, make sure that everybody likes me. But even though I do that, I still get left. Nobody still likes me. Because it is the fear of not having friends. It is the fear of not being accepted that causes you to people please. You learned that in your childhood. So now as an adult, my resident etymologist, I love you, bend to fit, benefit. Yes. Right? So all those things that you've learned back there, we do them as adults. And we do them as adults because we've been doing them for so long. They now become hidden from you. And because they are hidden from you, they run your life. You will make every decision based upon the fact, oh my God, I don't want to be abandoned. I'm afraid of being alone. I don't want to be rejected. I must have a relationship. You see where you live from now? All because something happened back there that caused you to put that association together. Oh, my dad always leaves. And he says he'll be back in a half an hour. He doesn't come back until the next day. You begin now to protect yourself from the hurt of the rejection of him leaving and coming back when he said, but not. He came back, but he didn't come back when he said he would. So that becomes unreliable to you. When something is unreliable, it creates unease. It creates, you feel antsy. You don't feel at peace because it is unreliable. But here's the kicker, right? Even though you can see that it is unreliable, because that state of unreliability is familiar to the body and thereby safe to the body, you will choose another relationship that is unreliable because that is what you're used to doing. And the body loves to be in a familiar setting because it feels safe there. Why does it feel safe there? Because of the law of rhythm. So, when you say things like shadow work, it is a hidden habit that you have had This habit was is the effect of a cause, and it's usually an emotional cause that left an impression upon your subconscious mind right away. And because of that event, you bent to fit. You created a habit to get you through the next time it happened. You see, your body is always trying to keep you in order. We call it homeostasis. Because it is law, rhythm. Everything must have a rhythm. And then how did that make you feel? There was a sense of disappointment. So now the next time he said to you, I'll be there Saturday, but he didn't, but he would call and say, later, I'll come later, I'm busy. That sense of disappointment, right? So now what did you do? You set up the habit to say, I can't trust anybody. So you look at everybody the same way you see your father, because he's the closest thing to you. So now you begin to think everybody else is unreliable, not because they are, but because it is a way to protect yourself from hurt. So that habit of protecting yourself from the hurt and creating mistrust wherever you see somebody else is the shadow, is the childhood trauma. That's why you've got to be able to name it. You can't just say, oh, I had childhood trauma. What was the trauma? The event created a habit within you. The event created a habit or a behavior, a consistent behavior within you to protect yourself. Now, as a child, we don't have discernment to say, I know daddy's working and he probably had to work overtime. We can't discern there yet because we don't have that capability as small children. We don't have that capacity. But as a grown-up, this is why Paul can tell you, when I was a child, I spake as a child, but when I became a man, I put away childish things. Now when somebody says to you, look, I gotta work late, the first thing goes up that says, you have to work late? Here comes the mistrust. Why? Because you've had to protect yourself in the past. You see it? That's what it means with shadow work. But now when you apply the law to it, you must recognize what the event was so that you can name it. Oh my God, abandonment. That's why I people please, because I don't want somebody to leave me. But then you have to come to the understanding, the comprehension to say, wait a minute, as within, so without. If I accept me, how do you accept yourself? You look in the mirror and you're like, oh, well, this is who I am. I like this, and this. I'm this kind of person. I'm that kind of person. You accept yourself first. You must accept yourself. If you do not accept yourself, nobody else on the outside can accept you. Not because I'm telling that to you because I have a cape. I'm telling it to you because it is the law of correspondence. If you want an orange tree to go, you cannot plant a tulip bulb. You have to plant the seed of the orange so that you can reap the benefit of the orange. So acceptance of self, which means this is how I look, that's where I grew up, and that's just those things that shaped me, but it is now my character that I can mold to be who I want to be. You can't change where you were born. I was born in Barbados. End of it. That's where I was born. I can't change that. But what can I change? I can change the mentality that says, I can't trust nobody anywhere. I gotta look out for myself. I can change that mentality because I know if I want to have reliability in my life, I must become reliable to me. Does this make sense? I'm reading the comments here in the chat. Yes, Dan, you are correct. That whole, because inner child is a catchphrase, because we make all of our adult decisions based upon the things we encountered between zero, even pre-zero, all the way up to even 13. But the 0 to 7 is the thing, you know? So that's where we develop these attitudes, these perceptions. We develop them there. So it is the child who is still living in the world, just in an adult body. That's why the only thing that is the child is the perceptions. The shadows that run, that is the child. But you can change those, because now what do you have? You have the ability to reason. You have the ability to comprehend a situation and say, okay. And the way to do it, you don't go looking for things because they're not hidden. They're right in front of your face. That's why this paradox is so beautiful. You've been doing it so long that it is hidden. You're blind to it now. You know when you're in a room and you smell something? The smell hasn't gone away. You just have become familiar with the smell. This is what I'm saying. So you must recognize what the event was. And if you cannot remember, that's okay. What is the effect? How do you know? When you walk by somebody's garden, you go, oh my God, what a pretty rose bush. What did they plant? Roses. That's what they planted. So when you look at the effect in your life, the effect would be your behavior. When you look at the effect and you look at the behavior, now you can get a sense of what seed was planted. Does this make sense? Let me take a sip of water. And so Leslie, or Elsie, I like calling you Elsie because your acronym there. Not only did that build a sense of disappointment in you, then he would call and say, I'll come tomorrow instead. Right? He may not have meant any, you have to understand, he may not have meant any ill will towards you. He did not. It wasn't nefarious. Him saying, I need more time. But it was interpreted as such because children cannot discern. This is why you have to show them what hot and cold is. Don't touch. Owie. Because they do not have the capability of discerning just yet. This is why you teach them. So that's what we're doing. So now let's do it again. So it makes sense. Again. When you say that you are doing shadow work and you say, well, what is it? It is something. It is a habitual behavior that was created as a means of survival when you were young. This is why if you find that people who have come through a particular type of trauma, a particular type of events, they have a very high intuition. Some of them really use it and some of them bury it because they don't like how it makes them feel. Because again, if you're a child and you can sense something or you can see something in the corner, and you, perhaps if you said something once, somebody said, oh, hush, that's just your imaginary friend. And you're like, no, it isn't. If you've been shut down once or twice, you stop using your gift. So now, even though you're walking through your life and you can feel the hairs on the back of your neck stand up because something is coming in for you, what do? Why do you keep silent? Because you don't want to be judged and you don't want to be ridiculed. So you hold on to your shadow gift. But that gift you developed way back then. It's like my grandmother couldn't, I went everywhere as my grandmother. Okay? And then she lost me. It only took her twice to know where to find me. Sitting at the cash register talking to the cashier. Sound familiar? Token. So we've developed things as a result of what we have experienced. Not all of them will be beneficial. That is why when you take stock of your behavior and you say, "Oh, well, that doesn't, no, Angela, that's not a good habit," then you can change it. But if you look and you say, "Wait a minute, I have the ability to close my eyes and remote view. Oh, I'm going to use that. I have the ability to hear. I have the ability to know like I'm psychic." Oh, you develop those things as a youngster. And like I said, some things are beneficial and some things are not. This is where, as a grown-up now, you use your discernment, because not everything that is in the shadow is a bad thing. It's just that shadow and darkness is synonymous with evil, if you understand. Oh, only bad things happen in the dark. The womb is dark, may I add. Is something bad happening in there? Or is life coming forth? It is only the perception that we've been taught to think that the shadow is bad. And because we think the shadow is bad, we fear what is in there. And because we fear what's in the shadow, we do not change the things that cause us to make the behavior we don't like. So why do people start things and not finish them? Sometimes we start because we're excited. But if you started something and said, "Oh my God, I'm going to do this," perhaps you heard, "Well, you know, there's no money in that. There's no opportunities in that. What's the sense of wasting your time doing that?" But you will continue to start things because the desire never dies. But because you've heard and you are holding on to, "Well, there's no future. There's no, that can't unfold in a good way." So you'll start and you won't finish because of that's what you're hearing. So if you say now, "I start but I don't finish," okay. The thing that you start clearly must be a passion for you. And because it is a passion for you, and you are excited to create it, that is part of how we now reprogram ourselves to follow through. Because now you say to yourself, "Oh my God, I'm so excited. I want to see what this is. I want to see how it turns out." And so you follow through till you're done so that you can see how it turns out. And because when you start seeing how it turns out because you finished it, when you see the first thing turn out, you're like, "Oh my God, this is so good. Do it again." And you do it again. "This is so good. I did it again." And it turns out and it was beautiful. And what happens to you? You do it again and again and again. That is how you get yourself through. Because you use the law of polarity to say, "I start," right? But you want to complete. So that means you have to follow through with every action. So if you say, "You know what, I start, but I don't finish," start every day with that activity. Start the activity every day. So if you say dishes, wash them and put them in the dish rack. You're done the dishes. There's another set of dishes. Do it again. Do it again. Because what happens to you? You are moving yourself from never completing to completing every single day. And now the law of rhythm will come and show you what you've done, because there's an ebb and a flow. So the distance between the ebb and the flow, the distance between you starting and completing or starting and not completing, begins to diminish. So you can look and say, "Oh my God, I started and I finished all of these things. Oh my God, it's been a year since I've never completed something." That's what the law of rhythm will do for you. Let me read these comments because some of them flash by. People typically choose motivation over discipline, so as soon as a problem or doubt arises, it ruins the motivation. Dan, 100%. Because you realize now it has nothing to do with your emotion. It is the task that must be done. And so if, you see, Dan, this is why I love you and what you said. Discipline does not require you to like the thing that you are doing. Discipline is I start, I finish. And I start and I finish regardless. It is called persistence. Huh? Because it's not every day you feel like doing the dishes. You're like, oh, it's just a spoon in the sink while I'm going to bed. You're like, wash that spoon. You finished your tasks. So yes, Dan, excellent. Yes, LC. Darkness isn't bad. It's just that we've been conditioned to think that darkness is bad. Hello, Ruby. Hey, beauty queen Onika. I see you, my darling. I see you. So does this make sense to you today as to why we can say things of shadows? Does it make sense? The shadow? Where do you hear that? Yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil. For thy rod and thy staff, they comfort me. So is darkness bad? Is the shadow bad? When things show themselves to you, that is your opportunity to assess, is this where I want to be or not? If you do not like where you are, you don't sit. My life is awesome. Everything is always working out for me. My life is awesome. Everything is always working out for me. You don't sit and do that because you cannot, because you don't believe that. That is not what's stored here. So what you do is you employ the law of polarity and you say, okay, I am here. And I want to be there. Let me read that. Yes, and you one at a time, because they will present themselves to you one at a time. And when you name it, now you see where it comes from. The fear of rejection. Well, then you're looking for acceptance. So how do you start to accept yourself? You accept everything about you. Hair, skin, nails. Accept everything there is. Accept your hairline. Accept your gap. Accept everything about you because it is you. Once you begin to accept you, you will recognize that people walk by and accept you. They say, hey, what a lovely smile you got. Well, I heard that yesterday. But I digress. Anyhow, as within, so without. So when the shadow, when the silhouette appears, which is the shape or the behavior of the actions that you're doing, when you begin to see the behavior, if you deem it undesirable, get out the law of polarity. I am here and I want to be here. What is the step that I'm going to take from here? Okay, I'll do that. And what's the step from there? I'll do that. And what's the step from there? I'll do that. When you get up in the morning, what do? This step, and this step, and this step, and this step. Why? Because the more you do this step, and this step, and this step, it becomes your habit, it becomes your lifestyle, and then you went from, oh my God, I can't change, to changing by implementing the law. This is what we do. But you've got to take the time to do it and recognize what you're doing. Let me read these, because I saw some flash, but they flash so quickly on my phone, I can't see them. Elsie, I know, listen, I fully accept it. I fully accept my crazy. What can I say? Like, it's who I am, you know? It's something I developed and I like it about myself, so I will keep it. So that you see what I'm saying? As within, so without. These are the things that we do. So today, I trust that you have a clearer comprehension, a deeper comprehension of what shadow is. Oh my God, I have no friends. Huh. How can you have friends, right? When you sit there and you say to yourself, Nobody likes me. I'm so stupid. Nobody cares about me. If anybody cared, they'd be here. Nobody cares. Oh, great, my mom cares. And look at the turmoil within. What do you think you will experience on the outside? You see it? Ruby says, accepting the beautiful creation of our Father, the great I am. Oh, Ruby, we gonna break that down. We gonna break it down. Because I know exactly what you're saying, but I want you to use the law of correspondence, as above, so below. You just said, I'm gonna read what you said again. The creation of our Father, the great I am. Then you say, I am. What are you doing? Creating. So what does that make you? This is the law of gender. You are projecting I am, and you project it outward. I am beautiful no matter what they say. Words can't bring me down. Anyway. Then you say I am. You are using the law of gender. You are masculine. And you say I am. And you push it out like a Care Bear. Do you remember Care Bears? When they said, Care Bear, stare. And what did they do? They used all their energy to push it outward. That is the law of gender. But where are they pushing it? Into the subconscious mind, which is the womb. And what happens in a womb? Form takes shape in the womb, thereby giving you your experience. So you are both father and mother by way of mental gender. Let me just sip some water for dramatic pause. I know you guys, if it's making sense, let me know. Me a thumbs up or something. Yes, Ruby, because now that you understand how you say, I am beautiful, and you project it outward, and it comes back to you, this is why your words cannot return unto you void. Now you know how the all creates, by projecting that thought outward into the womb of creation. As above, so below. So that is how the all creates. That's how you create. But we take it one step further. We procreate, which means to do what? Again, make a copy of yourself. Oh, snap. That's what we do. We make a copy of ourselves. So if you are procreating and making a copy of you, what do you think you're doing with your thoughts? Creating you. Every single time. Not. As a teenager, I used to hate my nose. My mother-in-laws would call me, oh my God, how vile. Then you met your deceased husband who loved my nose. See? And here's the thing, right? When someone comes along and they don't like something about your genetics, that's because they don't like something about their own genetics. Well, how can you be so sure, Angela? The law of correspondence tells you, as within, so without. If you're walking around and you're spewing vitriol, and you're spewing hate, out of the abundance of the heart, the mouth speaks. So this is why when somebody comes along and wants to insult you as an individual, you can call me out on behavior because I put those in action. I practiced my behavior till it became a habit. But if you're gonna come at me and tell me, oh my God, your gap is like so huge, it's so gross, that means to me, you don't like yourself. That's why you can say that to me. So you gotta people tell you take these things with a grain of salt. Take it with the law. Understand, as within a person, they must speak it. So if they're coming and attacking your physiology, oh my God, your butt's so flat. Oh my God, your boobs are so big. You know how they get to you, right? You're gonna wear that. That don't look good on you. Listen, even if what you put on didn't look good on you, and you twist and turn in the mirror, you'll see it for yourself. You don't have to insult somebody. You could say, oh, you know what? I think this one might go a little better. This one might hug you a little better. There's always a way to say the thing you want to say. And it all depends on what is within you. If you are self-critical, you're going to encounter someone who criticizes. Why? Because you can't contradict law. As within, so without. So learn to understand, instead of taking offense at what somebody says, recognize where it is coming from. And it's coming from a place with a habit that they developed back in the day. And it is now a shadow in their lives. And because they refuse to look at it, they can't change. The only reason why people can't change is because they refuse to look at it. And even if they do look at it, they're scared. But you don't have to be afraid of change. Initiate the change, because the law of causation tells you every cause has an effect. And if you know the cause, you can predict the effect. So this is how you live your life. So the next time you hear shadow work, healing my inner child, next time you hear that kind of folly, it's not folly. That's saying it nicely. The next time you hear it, you will comprehend what is happening by way of law. An event happened in your life that caused you to create a habit to protect the self. Oh, I'm shy. Why are you shy? Because you don't want to be made fun of on the playground. What if nobody likes me? So I'll hide back here and I'll be really quiet so nobody can hear me. Well, how do you get over shyness? By recognizing, first of all, that thing happened back then. You were a child. You didn't know any better, but you know better now. And if you don't want to be shy anymore, you say, oh, how can I be more bold? You start by wearing a bold color. Why? Colors have a frequency, friends. They do. Wear the color that you're drawn to. Do you think that intuitively you don't know what to do? Pick the color that you are drawn to and wear it, and you will begin to behave the way that color stirs you up to act. This is why the color red is always there, for energy and vibrance and activity. They tell you, choose your color. It'll help you. You want to be more bold? Well, then lift your head up. Look into the eyes of someone else. And you want to know how to practice looking in the eyes of someone? Get in the mirror. How long can you look into your own eyes before you start to feel uncomfortable? So that is, maintain eye contact with you before you hit the uncomfortable spot in your body. This is how you do it, so that when you go out into the world, you can lift your eyes up and you say, oh, that was 10 seconds before I started to feel a little creepy crawly. I'll do it for 6. Be bold. You don't need to be shy. Do you see it? Does this make sense to you today, my beautiful friends? Whew, I'm getting hot. Getting fired up. A beauty queen, Onika, you say, I love this too, because the law is magnificent. It truly is. I trust it is making more and more sense for you, so that when you go out into the world, because think about it. If you say to yourself, I don't want to be shy anymore, what do you want to manifest then? You want to manifest either boldness or confidence, but you must assume the feeling of the wish fulfilled. You must live as if. How do you live as if? By doing the action. A bold person makes eye contact, has a head up and shoulders back. That is as if. So now when Neville Goddard says to you, live as if. Well, how am I supposed to live as if I got a house? How am I supposed to live as if I got a car? Because it is the feeling that you have in your body. That is what it is. How am I supposed to feel as if I have friends when I'm in the house all the time? If you are in the house all the time, get up and go outside. Get up and go outside. You know why? There's 8 billion people on the planet. You're going to meet somebody. But if you say, but what if they don't like me? Do you like you? If you like you, it doesn't matter where you go. Somebody gonna like you. Because as within, so without. This is not my opinion. Ruby, love you all this for this lesson today. Aw, thank you, Ruby. You see, this came as an email to me last night. Somebody asked me, Angela, what is shadow work? Is it necessary? Do I need to be doing it? And I responded because I think it was at 1 in the morning when I responded because, you know, when you and your bestie are up on the phone, you know how time doesn't really matter? It's kind of like it stands still and you've been on the phone for hours and sometimes you're talking, sometimes you're not, sometimes you're laughing, sometimes you're not, but you're on the phone for hours and it feels like it was just 20 minutes. Yeah, that's when the email came in, just as we said good night. And so that was the question. And because I wanted to give a proper answer, I couldn't just, I didn't feel like typing. So I said, I'll do a live stream. Right? Like, so because the live stream is easier to convey the message so that we truly grasp it. Yeah? But that's it, Onika. The law is amazing. So if the law is amazing and so balanced and so streamlined, what does it tell you about the all who created the law? But now if you use the law and you say, you know what, as within me, I'm going to be faithful to what's in here. I'm going to be true to me, what's in here. But this is now why when you catch yourself, you got to make sure this is where the shadow comes from. Are you living your life from an insecurity or are you living your life from confidence? Those are two separate things. The insecurity will present itself always as, why do I keep doing this? Why do I keep doing this? Why does this always happen to me? That is the light shining on your shadow. That is the spotlight. I just did that for dramatic effect. You see, do you understand? The minute you say, why? Again, that's the light shining to illuminate the shadow, people. Come on. That's what's happening. That is what is happening. So when you see the thing that has been illuminated by the light, when something comes forth from the light, let there be light, and there was. When something comes forth, when you call it forth, it is not for you to judge it and say, I'm so dumb. This is why it always happens to me. I'm so like, oh my God. When the light is shone upon that thing that is hidden and it becomes illuminated, that is your cue to say, oh my God, thank you for showing me the burr in the saddle. Thank you for showing me the bee in my bonnet. Now I can take my hat off and get that bee out. They work together. The light is there to show you what is hidden. And when you see what is hidden, it is your time to turn it into the light so it becomes the light so you don't do the thing that is harmful anymore. I trust that this made sense today. I truly do. Because then we look at things that are hidden in the shadows. We become sometimes overwhelmed by them, and we feel as though we cannot change, we cannot become better. When in actuality, it is all of these things. When you live the law, when you say what's here is going to match here and my body will do it, if you are in correspondence, which means you are ordered, you are creating a rhythm to your life. You think making our bed is, oh my God, why is it necessary to make my bed? I'm going to get back in it anyway. You are making your bed for the simple fact that when the bed is ordered, it does something to you. When the bed is messy, because you know how clutter makes you feel, right? When the space is tidy, you feel something in your body that brings you ease. It brings peace of mind. But when you see clutter, and if you don't make the bed, it brings a sense of, and you walk around and you don't know why you're like, make the bed. That's how you start your day. You start the day by making your bed when you get out of it. A simple thing to do. If you can do the simple things, you can do the complex. Because complex things are only a culmination of simple things. You do things when they're easy, one at a time. Simple things. This is how we deal with shadow and trauma. Oh, but Angela, you don't know what kind of trauma I went through. No, I don't know the type of trauma you went through, but I do know that trauma was the impetus for a habit. And when you deal with the habit, you release the burden of the trauma. Because the habit exists only because of the event. So when you begin to change the habit, you lessen the sting of the event. Because now you're no longer trapped by the event that happened. You're no longer holding on to the trauma. Because remember, the habit is associated with the trauma, the cause and the effect. Yes? The trauma is the cause of the effect. So if you change the effect, meaning what must you change? If you want to manipulate the cause, what do? Change the effect. Let me say it to you again so that it makes sense. Because every cause has an effect and every effect has its cause. The pendulum swings between the two. So if you say, I don't know what the cause is, do you know the effect? Do you know what's happening that has your attention? When you recognize what is happening and what is causing your behavior, when you recognize the behavior that you are doing, now you can say, I would like to do a different behavior. In order to do a different behavior, you must do a new cause. And what is the cause? Always, you see, the trauma, the event that happened left an impression upon the subconscious mind. And because it left an impression upon the subconscious mind, that is where the mind has been set. This is yes, Mozinga. So I'm telling you, you know why? I'm gonna come back to everybody because I saw the comments, but that one just caught me because I know you. To finish your song, you have to do the dishes. Why? Because as you're washing the dishes, what's in your head? Because now the body's relaxed because it's water. The presence of water is relaxing and soothing. So as you are washing the dishes, you begin to recall the song in your head, and what happens to you? You're dun, 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 dun. You're washing dishes. Because washing dishes just simply engages the body. It frees up the mind. When you free up the mind, information flows in. So it may seem like a mindless task to do the dishes. It's autopilot. When you are on autopilot, you are wide open. Just so you know. So let me read these comments. Hey, Ties Tidbits. Thank you. Well, you know how the law is, right? The law is golden information. And here we are still thinking, oh my God, I need a house, I need this. Oh, get your life in order. When it is in order by way of law, what happens when things are in order? Magic. That's what we think we want to call it. Magic. It's not magic. It is law. But I digress. Yes, Beauty Queen Onika, you know, this is the law. Beautiful advice. This is just what it does. And that's why everything, if you will notice, everything is seeking to be ordered. All chaos seeks order. Because order is the way of the law. That's why if something is random, it's outside of the law. Meaning, oh my God, that's why there aren't any coincidences. Nothing is outside of the law. Chaos only comes in the presence of not remembering the law. Because then we just act willy-nilly. But if you act according to law and live according to law, your life is ordered. When your life is ordered, well, what do you think happens to you when your life is ordered? Order! Order! Sorry, I couldn't help myself. Order in the court! Order brings peace! And here we are running around, I need inner peace! Law. This is how the mind, you see, the mind is designed to think. That is its job. Like the heart is designed to beat and pump. Lungs are designed to filter air, liver, blood, kidneys, fluids, pancreas, bicarbonate soda, spleen, blood. Yes? Everything has a function. Elsie, I'm looking at your comment. You crack me up, girl. But this is what it is. Everything has a function. You see, it is ordered. So now when there's a disorder, what's out of order? Every problem has the seed of the solution within it. What is out of order? Then you will see how to order it. Elsie, next time you're going about your day and you realize something is out of order, you'll say, order in my life, order. Because when you do it, this is the privilege now. Hear me. This is the privilege that we have, us 16 people in this space. It's the privilege to have this thing that is hidden, to have it illuminated, and you see it and not be overwhelmed by it, but you can change. That is the privilege. Because look at how many people are running around out here and don't know what to do. Of course, order brings peace. Imagine if it wasn't daytime right now, then it'd be night. You know when day is and you know when night is. But what if they came when they wanted? What if it was sporadic? Then you wouldn't know how to act. Am I awake or am I asleep? Where is it? So because rhythm brings order, they all do. But because the rhythm is there, there's a sense of peace. You know when to sleep. You know when to get up. You know there's an ebb and a flow. You know. Bars. There's an ebb and a flow because you know, hey. Does this make sense to you today? I trust that it does because I tell you, right? Then you memorize the law and you begin to recognize the law, then you can better utilize the law. And when you utilize the law, you change your life. No more will you be sitting in that corner going, oh my God, the world is falling apart and my life is over. You will not be doing that. Because you will create order and inner peace in your own life. Why? Because as within you, so without. When you walk out into the world and you have inner peace and you have order, you influence the places around you, bringing order to them. But if everybody's running around in chaos, as within, so without, then we hear complaining, oh my God, there's so much chaos in the world because we are chaotic. Okay. Breathe in, Angela. Breathe in, Angela. Just ground yourself, Angela. Does this make sense to you today? But yet we want to be caught up with money and cars and this. Yes, we need those things. But if you order yourself, do you think you will not be able to say, money? I got money. My money don't jiggle, it folds. Because why? Order gives you the ability to call those things that are not as though they were. That is what order does for you. Why? Because you know that the universe is a mental creation. Why? Because the all is mind. As within, so without. As above, so below. Everything vibrates between two poles, a swing to and fro, creating a rhythm, an ebb and a flow, because every cause has its effect, and every effect its cause, a projection, masculine, of the will, giving life, giving form, feminine. Makes sense? So when you know that, you need to hope. Hope? Who's that? Who's hope? Oh, you mean that girl down the street? That's who hope is. We don't hope. We call those things that are not as though they were, and they become. But it will take you practice, because you've got to rise above the things that have happened to you to shape your distorted view of the law. There's night and there's day. There's ebb and there's flow. So that means I rest when I'm tired and I move when I'm not. Follow the law. You feel tired, but you want to fight your sleep. What? Whew. All right. So, Ruby, Beauty Queen Onika, Selena? I've never said your name before. Listen, the only Selena Gomez I know is a superstar. So I don't know if that's you. I highly doubt it, because you wouldn't be sitting here online, but I digress. Anyway, it is a pleasure to meet you, Selena. You're popular in your own way. LCICU, Mozinga, Ties Tidbits, B Royalty, A Not, Dan, I'm going through, oh, Walter, Ms. M, Empress Ella. I see you all. So do these things make sense for you, so that now you begin to understand that you are, what's the word? Comprehending. Mosega? I don't know. When you figure it out, you tell me. Perhaps it was Mars. I don't know. Well, no. Venus. Venus. She came from Venus. You know how it is. I want to say, were you not entertained? Like, what movie is that from? Because When you begin to see how pleasurable using the law is, you'll begin to understand why you should not be. You hear what I'm saying to you? You should begin to see that now in your own life. The law is a pleasure. Oh, Elsie, look at you, gladiator. Right? But that's my point to you today. The law is a pleasurable thing. It adds pleasure to this experience that we're having. But if we sit and we say, oh my God, the sky is falling. If we say stuff like that, how are you going to enjoy life? Use the law and get the pleasure out of life. You know that saying, when life gives you lemons, make lemonade. How are you going to make lemonade? The law is the sugar, baby. The law is the sugar. Right? Because, lemons make you pucker up. But add the law and sweeten that. Does this make sense to you today? I don't know anything other than what I'm just telling you. Not because it's my opinion, it is law. And it is law because you have leaves above and roots below. As above, so below. You put the seed. What seed are you planting? How do you know? Because that's what that seed is. Right? As within, so without. This is the beauty of what we have in our lives. And if we would but use it, we would come to such a beautiful understanding. So there. I trust these things make sense. If you have more questions, because I don't want to keep y'all, because I said I'm a rest my voice today, because I got Lance at 6 and then I got to narrate. But I might not get to narrations till tomorrow because I do want to not talk. But y'all know that is a challenge, isn't it? There's never a dull moment in this house. But there is quiet, I'll tell you that. So if you have more questions, drop it in the chat before we skedaddle. But if you don't have questions, I'll wait for a moment. I'll sip my water. I'll sip the water just in case there are questions. See that feeling right there? When you sip the water? And you feel that sense of relief when that well, my water is room temperature. Because I can't handle cold water. That's, You notice how good it feels when your thirst has been quenched? And you say, you see that relief? Begin to fall asleep in that state. Begin to fall asleep in it. And you will notice something happen to you, something beautiful. You will wake up in that state also. But think about it. If you fall asleep in that state and you wake up in that state, then you live your day in that state. And if you live your day in that state, what is happening to you? Order. Oh, and what comes from order? Peace of mind. What happens when you live from a state of peace of mind? You have the ability to call those things that are not as though they were, and they become. So that is all I'm going to tell you today, my beautiful friends. How do you deal with Jehovah's Witness family without hurting their feelings? Those who hunger and thirst for righteousness shall be filled, is what you say. Those who hunger and thirst for righteousness shall be filled. If you are seeking knowledge because you want to apply the knowledge, you have to understand they're simply using the law in a way because the law is hidden in every holy book, right? Remember that, including the Bible. So when you say those who hunger and thirst for righteousness shall be filled, you're doing two things. You're saying, I hunger and thirst for righteousness, so I shall be filled. And you are also hungering, thirsting for righteousness, and you shall be filled. Go ye into the world and make disciples of all men. What is a disciple? Someone you teach to do the same thing that you are doing. So because you are not practicing Jehovah's Witness, right? Because when you say, listen, I may not agree with everything, but have faith to know that those who hunger and thirst for righteousness shall be filled. And let it be. Because remember, they come from a place of fear. How can I be so sure? Because nobody wants to burn in hell. So they do what they must. Fear causes them to behave in a particular way. But you don't live a life from fear. Where do you live your life from now? Peace of mind. And you will begin to notice that peace of mind has its own vibration. And that vibration is one that is up here. Fear is down there. And if you choose to engage, you've lowered your vibration. But the beautiful thing about vibration is you will only entangle with other vibrations that are like yours. So the more you stay, the more you hunger and thirst for right thinking, righteousness, then you shall be filled. Filled with what? Peace. And as long as you live your life from a place of peace, then you create peace wherever you go. So tell me now how they can annoy you when you create peace. And because you're creating peace within, you must project it outward. That is the order for the day. Are there any more questions before we go? Remember how to calm yourself? Let's do it really quick. You got this. Huh? I should be able to stand and have it in the frame. Shouldn't I? I should be able to. We have here the sternum. You come up on the sternum and you go out. If ever you're feeling a little tense, you do this. You come up on the sternum and you go out. This is the sea of Qi. Ren 17 in traditional Chinese medicine. And here, if there's too much grief, sadness, it'll stop you right here where there's this knot in your chest and you feel like you can't breathe. So do this to open up the chest. When you open up the chest, you will find that you can breathe a little bit easier. Open the chest. Now, let us calm the heart, mind. Under the armpit. Hello. See that? Cup the hand. Don't say a word. Don't just say a word. About 9 or 10 times you do that. And then you come over here and you do it. Then you should begin to feel relaxation spread throughout your body because now you can breathe. And the heart houses the mind. And what is the mind? The all is mind. The universe is a mental creation. That is what you can do to help yourself to calm your body because you are in that body, baby. You're in that body, right? Body, yada, yada, yada. Couldn't help myself. Sorry. Shoot. Anyway, I love you all. I truly do. And I trust that it made sense. If you find that you have more questions, Ruby, where are you? Because it's not noon for me. It's 5 to noon for me right now. And you said a blessed eve. Where are you? You, because I know Dan is in the UK. So here hours ahead. Either 6 or 7 hours ahead. But if you find that you have more questions, yeah? Feel free to slide into my DMs. Aw, Beauty Queen Onika, I love you. I love you as well. Thank you for your love today. Oh, snap. I forgot to go live on Fanbase. Ah! I forgot to go live on Fanbase. That's okay. I'll post the link, y'all. Yikes. I'll send the link to them. Because why? The habit is what? You see how a habit controls you? What is my habit? YouTube is my habit. And when I do impromptu things, I'm on YouTube. And when I do morning inspiration, Ruby, you're in the UK too. Nice, nice. Blessings, darling. In the morning for morning inspiration, I do Fanbase because that's morning inspiration. But when I do anything impromptu, you're in Birmingham, West Midlands. Look at you. Quite the distance, darling. We have there's a Birmingham in the States, Birmingham, Alabama. But I digress. I still can't believe I forgot to go live on Fanbase. Shoot, y'all. But it's all good. But now you understand how the habit controls you and compels you to do what you have always done. Every impromptu is always on YouTube. Morning inspiration, YouTube, Fanbase, Twitter. The habit drives you to act. You saw it here first, folks. Anyway, I do love you, and I appreciate you greatly. Thank you for coming out and being here with me. I'm going to post this video on Fanbase. I can't believe that. Anyhow, I love you. I know, Ruby. I know. I'm just like, I still can't believe it. And I told them I was going to be there today. I will go live nonetheless. To give them the link for YouTube. Okay. I love you. Much love, everybody. And I will see y'all again soon. Much love. Remember to like, share, and subscribe. And if you find that this content has been of a value to you, consider becoming a YouTube member for the low price of 99 cents a month if you so desire. I'll see y'all on the flip side. Peace.